welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Elizabeth. If this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to click on the notification button so as to be the first person to be notified anytime I upload a new video. So in this video, I'll be showing you how to draft and cut this beautiful gown here. So I posted it this morning on our Facebook group, Fashion Creative Hub, and it's got so many likes. And many of our Facebook group members reached out to me that please can you give us the video illustrations on how to do this. So I decided to make this video and share it with you guys, and I'm going to break it down in a way you can understand. There are other ways you can use to achieve this beautiful gown here, but I'm going to show you the easiest way to go about it. So let's start. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to show you how to fold your pattern paper. Divide your hip circumference by 2. If your hip is 40, hip 40 divided by 2 is going to give us 20. Okay, so now this pattern paper here, this is 20, and from where your 20 stopped, you are going to take your long sleeve measurement from where your 40 stopped. Okay, so from where the hip measurement stopped here, I added the long sleeve measurement. So that's all. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to fold this pattern paper again. Here is a folded part. Don't forget that this is the first fold here. So I'm going to fold it again. So to fold it, I'm going to place this basic gown pattern. I'm going to place it. So now I'm done placing it. Can you see? So you fold it, make sure you fold it by that is your hip divided by 4. So you can see this is one part of the front. So can you see now? So after doing this, now you are going to redraw this line here. You are going to redraw this line. So I'm going to make use of this color pen. I'll redraw the line. I'll repeat the same thing here. So when I'm done doing that, now the next thing I want to do is to trace out these bodies here. I'm just going to trace it out now, and I will show you how it looks. Okay, I'm just going to trace it out this way. Okay, I'm going to trace it out and show you. So now I'm done tracing it out, but before I remove this basic pattern paper here, I'm going to trace the hip line. I'm going to trace the hip line to get my hip line on the pattern paper. I'll make sure I add more pressure, and again I'm also going to trace it this way, but I'm going to remove it first. So can you see now? I can see it here clearly. So I'm just going to trace it out now, and I will show you how it is. So now I've traced it out. Can you see? Here is the hip line, the waist line, the chest line, and the shoulder line. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the shoulder measurement. Okay, but before doing that, don't forget that one side of this dress is going to be like bubu style, and the other part is going to have a normal sleeve. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is to come down by 0.5 inch on this part here, this shoulder width here. The shoulder width I used here is 3 inches. Okay, so I'm going to come down from this shoulder width here by 0.5. So I'll mark 0.5. So after marking 0.5, I'm going to connect it. Don't forget that here is the shoulder line. The next thing I'm going to do is to come down by 1.5 inches. I will mark 1.5 inches, or you can mark 1 inch. Okay, so here is 1 inch and here is 1.5. So what I'm going to do now is to connect this half an inch I marked here. I'm going to connect it to the center front here. Okay, I'll place my ruler and connect it to that point. So after connecting it, the next thing you are going to do is to connect it straight to either this 1 inch here or 1.5 inches. It depends on how you want it. Okay, so but for me, I will connect it straight to that 1.5 inches. Okay, you are going to connect it straight to the neckline here. Okay, so I'm going to connect it straight to the neckline. You can see, so this is how it's going to be. So after connecting it to the neckline, you can also connect it from the center back here straight to that point, but I prefer to connect it first to these 2 points here and later connect it from this shoulder width here to my 1.5 inches. So when you are done doing that, now the next thing you are going to do is to take your round sleeve measurement. Okay, I'm going to mark the round sleeve measurement. This is a little princess pattern. Okay, so after marking, I'm going to use pencil to mark that point, to mark the round sleeve. So after marking it, the next thing you want to do now is to bring down the hip measurement. Okay, so you are going to bring it down. Just place your ruler and bring it down this way. Okay, I'm going to make use of pencil for now. Now your hip measurement, if you've been using it before, if you've been using your hip measurement for your hemline and you found it easy, okay, and you can walk very well, you can leave it this way. But if you won't be comfortable while walking, you can add 2 inches to it. You can add 5 inches, you can add even 7 inches. But for this pattern, I'm just going to add just 1 inch. Okay, I'm just going to add 1 inch. This is a full dress. So after adding this 1 inch, now the next thing I'm going to do now is to connect it straight to the round sleeve there where I marked here for the round sleeve. I'm going to connect it straight to this point. So to connect it to this point now and to this point, I'm going to make use of cuff. I'm going to achieve that with a curve. Okay, so I'm going to curve it now, but before curving it, after you've marked the value you want to use here, what you are going to do is to go up by 1 inch. Okay, so you go up by 1 inch from that part this way. So you mark 1 inch. So when you are done marking it, but for this pattern here, I'm just going to mark 0.5. So don't forget the value I'm telling you to use when you want to make this dress. Okay, so for here, I'm just going to go up by 0.5. So from this point now, I'm going to curve my hand this way. So you can place your cuff this way. You can place your cuff this way. Can you see? So you connect it this way. So after that, now I'm going to achieve this with a curve. I'm going to use a curve to achieve this. So I'm going to use this curve here. So now, as you can see, I've connected it from this point here. So I've connected it to the round sleeve. So now the next thing we are going to do now is to trace this part here. So I'm going to trace this part. So I'm going to trace this part this way. So after tracing it, I will also trace this part. I won't trace this part here. I'm just going to start from the hip line here. I'm just going to start from the hip line here. Okay, so I will trace it from the hip line here also. I will trace it. Can you see? I'll also trace the armhole part here. So I will trace it to this point here. Okay, So after tracing it to this point here, so here now I'm going to connect the 0.5 inch I marked here. I'm going to connect it back to the shoulder slope here. Okay, so let me make use of color pen. Can you see? So I've connected it back. That is for the second, shoulder. So I'm going to trace it. Can you see? So I'm going to trace it to join this part I've traced. Okay, so now I'm going to trace the front neckline, neck depth. Okay, so you trace the front neck depth here. So after tracing it, the next thing you are going to do, you are going to come down by 1 inch for the back neck depth. You are going to come down by 1 inch. Okay, so when you are done doing that, so you place your ruler this way and mark the neck depth. Okay, this is for the back. Can you see? So when you are done doing that, you trace it also. Okay, so I'm going to trace it also now. I'm going to trace it. Can you see? So now this is for the back. You have to add more pressure to it. So after tracing it now, the next thing we are going to do is to cut out this part. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut this part out so as not to get you confused. Okay, so I'm going to cut this part. You can see I'm yet to cut the neck line. I'm still following the shoulder part now. So this is one side, shoulder and the sleeve. Can you see? So you cut it out this way. So now we are left with what? With the neckline and the second shoulder. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to also cut out these parts. Okay, so now when you are done, you can see now, so when you are done cutting it now, there's cellmates. The next thing is to also cut this part out from this part here. But before you do that, there's cellmates. Now this part now is optional. You can also leave it this way, but for me, I want that part to be shaped. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to place this curve here and I'll just blend this sharp point here. So when you are done blending this side now, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut it out from the hip line here. I'm going to trace it to this point here and I will cut it out to this point. So just watch me as I cut it. Okay, so I'm going to start the cutting now from the hip line now. Just watch the way I'm going to cut it. Okay, don't forget to add your own heat to it. You can also add the heat to it on your fabric. Okay, you can add it also on your pattern paper. So I'm going to cut it out now. So you cut out the shoulder also this way. Can you see? So you cut it out. Now don't forget, I haven't touched the neck depth and the neck width. So we are going to trace this part. We are going to trace it out. Can you see? So you trace it all the way down. You can put your ruler, you can use your free hand. Just make sure you trace it all the way to the to the hip line. Okay, so now I'm done, I'm done tracing it now. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to open it up. So can you see it now? So after opening it up, this is how your pattern should look. Okay, so you can see how beautiful it is now. So you can see the M line now. the hemline now, it's very free. So don't forget, this part we traced out is where you are going to use to shape your dress. When it is time to place it on your fabric, you are going to open it up this way to place on your fabric. Okay, you are going to place it this way on your fabric to cut. Okay, so don't forget to add your seam allowance to this part. Okay, so now look at the neck width now and the neck depth. So now I'm just going to use my my French curve to to draw out the lines here. Then the new shoulder line, you can see this is the main shoulder line for this part here. Don't forget that this part is going to fall on your shoulder to your arm sleeve. Okay, so this is how this part is going to be. Now for this part, now there's seamate. You can see here is the back neckline, here is the back neck depth, and here is the front neck depth. You may not see it very well, but for me I can see it clearly here. So to do that, now I'm just going to fold it back. I'm going to separate the two. Okay, so I'm going to separate the two, but before separating the two, you can choose the side you want your bubu to be. You can make it this side or this side. So you have to decide that before cutting out the neckline. Okay, if you want it the other side, you can you can also turn it this way. Okay, so if you want it this side, just make sure you choose whichever side you want it to be. So I'm just going to fold it back now. I'm going to cut out this part. So after opening it now, I'm just going to fold. I'm going to separate it. Okay, so I'm going to separate it now. So can you see? So now I'm going to separate it. So I want the bubu to face this side, so you can choose any of it. You can also look at the picture to decide where you want your bubu to face. So I'm just using this one to show you how to go about it. So now I'm going to use this part now for the back. I'm going to use this side for the back. So I'm going to cut out the back neckline. You may not see it, but I'm seeing the tracing part. Okay, so I can even bring it closer to the camera for you to see. So this is the part I traced. Can you see? You can see the part here very clear. So I've used this for the front part. So for the back, I'm going to cut this one also. So I will also fold it back. Can you see? So you also fold it this way. It's going to help you a lot. So I'll fold it and cut out the front for this part. Okay, so now your pattern is set. So this is it, dear sealmates. Now we are done with the back and the front and all that. So this is how it's going to be. Now again, if you don't want the sleeve of the thing, if you don't want that band there, you can just leave it this way. After marking your round sleeve, you are going to connect it straight, just like you shaping your dress. Okay, so you are going to shape it on your fabric. If you want to see the sewing aspect of this pattern, there sealmate, subscribe to my YouTube channel and let me know in the comment section below if you will need to see the sewing part of this. So now this is for the front, there sealmates. Now I know you'll be wondering, so how do we go about putting it on? Won't it be tight? Will there be zipper? Of course, I'm going to show you that if you want to see the sewing aspect of this pattern. Don't forget that the style also have a collar. So I'm going to be sharing the video with you also how to cut the collar separately. I don't want to rush you at all. Okay, so I'm going to upload the video on how to make a collar differently. I'm going to upload that so that you can also watch it. So I'm going to slash this front part open now. So if you want it short, if you want the opening to be short, So I know some people will want to ask question, oh, how are we going to do this front part? Of course, I shared the illustration, the paper illustration on my Facebook group this morning. So you can also follow me on Facebook to see the illustration is on my Facebook profile. Okay, so you can just check it there. So if you want it short or if you want it open to the hemline, it depends on how you want it. So but for this, just open the front part this way. Just open the front part this way. You have to do this first on your pattern before transferring it to the fabric. Okay, the next thing now is to cut another paper. You are going to cut another paper, one of 2 inches and another one of 2.5. okay, 2 inches and 2.5 inches. Okay, so now I've already cut it out. So one of 2 inches and another one of 2.5 inches. So for this part now, you are going to, you are going to tape it down. You are going to make sure you tape it to it this way. Tape it to it this way because you are going to be cutting it like this on your fabric. It has to be added. So but on your pattern paper, you are going to notch this part here on your pattern paper. Okay, so you are going to notch this part here and this part here. Okay, after taping it together, the same thing here, you are going to tape it down and also tape it down here. Okay, and you notch this point and you also notch this point. So when it is time to cut it on the fabric, after cutting your fabric this way, so you are going to fold these 2 points, 5 inches, you are going to fold it this way on your fabric to overlap each other. Okay, so this part is just going to overlap each other this way. Okay, so the 2 inches is just going to overlap this side. Okay, so this is how it's going to be, for the button area and all that. So now, dear Sealmates, if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and like, and also share this video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to join my Facebook group, like my page, and don't forget to follow me also on Instagram. Okay, so if you want to see the paper illustrations, you can follow me on Facebook so that you can see most of the of the illustrations I do post. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you very much. Bye.